Hello everyone, I'm Tapaswini Sharma from India, and today I will be talking about healthcare in future space habitats and radiation shielding. About me, I've been an analog astronaut with Habitat Mart with their mission 89 in December 2021. I'm also a spaceport advocate with the Spaceport Foundation, a scholar in residence with iJoint, and a board member at ETHR. Space habitats. Now, I'd like all of you to imagine that we have finally made it to a planet in space, preferably Mars or even Moon, and we have finally set up a habitat where you will be staying with your crew of 5 for the next couple of years. Now, naturally, in any space habitat, there will be several different facilities, and so there will also be a healthcare facility. In my presentation, I'm going to be talking about how a healthcare facility in a future space habitat would look like. So like any other facility, there would be some certain basic protocols, which include some daily check-ins and briefings. There would be daily health monitoring and data collection. There would be a systems check. There would be a daily crop quality check, a sanitation, contamination, and resources quantity and quality check. These are to ensure that everything's going on smoothly, there are no hiccups, and even if there are, they are being solved as soon as possible. Now, contamination is one of the biggest problems in space habitation, and it is something that has to be dealt with very carefully. It can occur forwards or backwards. So if we are living in a space settlement, we might end up taking some sort of contaminant or some sort of impurity with us to the planet, or bring some sort of contaminant or impurity back with us to our settlement. Now, this can be combated by several steps, which would be using an airlock system. So there would be destabilizing and dust removal in the airlock system. There would be regular testing for any biological contamination. And then there would be a laser-induced fluorescence emission, which uses laser pointers. And while using these laser pointers, if they reveal a fluorescent glow, then a pocket digital camera will capture the image and compare the fluorescent signatures with those belonging to known organic or inorganic molecules. This helps us identify both forward and backward contamination. Radiation is yet one of major obstacles when it comes to space exploration. It is extremely harmful and in huge levels in space. It increases the lifetime risk of cancer. It increases the risk of degenerative diseases. It has several other problems, and enough exposure would also cause radiation sickness. Now, there are several methods to try and reduce the levels of radiation in space habitats. One is to use nanomaterials like isotopically enriched boron nanotubes, which would help us keep the weight of the habitat down and create a protective layer on top of the habitat. Another would be to use polyethylene and lithium hydride. Some basic measures could be taking antioxidants like vitamin C and vitamin A that could reduce the amount of radiation in the human body. And then we could also go ahead and use Martian regolith and combine polymer binders with Martian regolith to again create a radiation protective shield. Now, there is a unique proposed method which could help us reduce the amount of radiation by excessive amounts, but also keep the weight of the habitat down. And I'll be talking about this in the next slide. So extremophiles. Extremophiles are unique, rare organisms that can survive in extreme conditions. They can survive in extreme cold, in extreme high temperatures, and even in vacuum and radiation. So the extremophiles that survive in radiation are called radio resistance. And the reason why they can survive is because they have a specific enzyme called extremoenzymes, which allow them to not only absorb radiation, but also multiply under it. So the proposed method of radiation shielding would be to use these enzymes of extremophiles and make a protective layer, which would be a part of the layering of the space habitat. And this layer would in turn absorb huge amounts of radiations and keep the astronauts safe, even with just a thin layer of it. Now, coming back to our healthcare facility, healthcare is also responsible for nutrition. So naturally, we would also have to be self-dependent when it comes to food, when it comes to growing crops, because we cannot be going back to Earth every now and then. So there would be certain protocols for food microproduction. This includes the different processes: aeroponics, hydroponics, and geoponics. Aeroponics involves growing food and crops in air. Hydroponics is growing them in water-based solutions with the appropriate nutrients in them. And geoponics refers to creating artificial soil, which will help us grow the different crops, whichever we desire and can be grown. There would be a vertical garden to ensure better food production and also utilization of space. There would be daily check for crop quality and crop growth, and also contamination. Because even the slightest of contamination in a single crop could end up contaminating the entire garden or the entire farm. Now, this is just an example of the kind of crops that we can possibly grow, which include beet, soy, tomatoes, lettuce, onions, chilies, spinach, capsicum, pineapples, and even dwarf wheat. Of course, we have to ensure the healthy growth of crops and supplying appropriate nutrients to it. This would be a part of the healthcare facility in the future space habitat. And also an important factor would be checking the effects of different foods on the astronauts' physical and psychological health. This plays a big role because humans often associate food with emotion. So certain foods bring about certain emotional changes, and if they are being given the right food in the right quantity as they desire, it would result in a much better psychological health, which would result in much better work and much faster results. And there would also be cultured meat, which is lab-based meat, to ensure the daily intake of protein. Meal planning is yet another function of the healthcare facility, where the menus are made depending on the weight, gender, and specific needs of the astronauts. Therefore, an average crew member would consume about 2,550 calories per day, and this decides the calorie consumption for 5 days. During the Gemini and Apollo missions, astronauts were supplied with 0.5 kg of food per day. And with an average of 3-liter water consumption per person, the amount of water required would be 15 liters. On the right, you can see a Gemini standard menu, which was taken aboard and practiced in the actual mission. Now, when it comes to physical health, there would be a space, what we call the space hospital, which would mostly be monitored by artificial intelligence and the different devices that we have. There would be daily monitoring and dietary checkup to ensure that the astronauts or the inhabitants do not have any sort of allergies or any reactions to the specific crops or the menu, and that they are fit, healthy, and there's no problem. There are different needs and different requirements for different individuals, so everyone would have a personalized diet plan, a personalized monitoring, and prevention. This would be to ensure that any sort of diseases that could happen based on um, nutrition are prevented. And every day there would be also checkups which would ensure that the inhabitants do not have any diseases, because it does not take too long for a disease to develop into something which could be serious. So to avoid that, we would have daily monitoring and daily dietary checks. Now, coming to psychological health, psychological health again is very important, and one of the factors which is often neglected when we talk about space exploration. Psychological health not only determines um, how how good the team members would be when it comes to um, working on their specific missions, but it also ensures that they are in a stable place of mind where they can continue staying and continue working at the specified pace and continue completing the mission. So this can be the psychological health of the crew members can be improved through exercise, daily exercise, yoga, meditation. We are imaging of places on Earth, so if they feel kind of homesick or any sort of such way, they can uh, go back and view the places um, where they have connections with, or the places which they like. Then we have VR games where the surroundings can be changed as per the astronaut. There would also be therapy sessions to monitor their moods and their psychological changes. A part of uh, the psychological healthcare would be um, entertainment and recreation. So there would be recreational rooms and private spaces for crew members. There could be karaoke nights, movie nights, board games. Again, meditation to relieve stress. There would be socializing and understanding different cultures and celebrating important festivals and milestones achieved. So even if there are 5 people in the crew, they could speak different languages, or maybe even speak different languages. Um, they could teach each other more about their cultures, how where they come from, what they like, such things too.